Can we start off this interview by asking where your parents were born?
Yes, my father was born in Leeds, England, and my mother in Lodz, Kalisz, Poland. That's as far as I've been able to
and do you know where they were married?
In London. To tell you the truth, I didn't ask about what synagogue. It was an Orthodox one, anyway.
I see.
In the East End. In the East End of London.
Do you know which part of the East End?
I know we always lived in. I should think it was in Maidman Street in Bow.
And did they live there all their lives, married lives, or did they move?
No, I think, as far as I could remember, no. They lived there until the outbreak of the Second World War, when we went to this part of the country. I think my mother came with us. Greenford, we were living there, and we moved about from then. And then she came to Harrow.
I see. And
that's from the Second World War. Yes.
You say your mother?
No, it's from my parents. Because my father died after that. Yes.
I see. And your father was born in Leeds?
Leeds, yes.
Do you know where and how they met?
Well, they came down to London to live, because my grandparents, we lived next door to my grandparents in Eric Street, Bow, just where Milan Station was at the top. And I don't know, my father worked in a tailoring place with his cousin, and my mother, and she came over with the pogroms, you see, and she was a felling hand, I presume, and she went out with a friend, and these two went out with my dad and this cousin, and she should have married the cousin. It would have been very much better off than having married my father. It was completely the wrong thing. However, she married my father. Yes.
And do you know whether his parents were born in Leeds, or did
they... Oh, no, I've got that. I've got right out of my great-grandmother. His parents, they were born in Poland. It was always Poland. And his father was
sorry. His father?
His father was a plumber, builder and decorator. And I was a gas fitter, which was most unusual for a Jewish person. Very unusual indeed. He died very young, aged 51 in 1913.
And that was your grandfather?
That was my grandfather. Now, there was an unusual thing. He married Rebecca Cott. That was my grandmother. And daughter of Aaron Cott and Fanny, buried in Stratford. Her parents were. That's funny. But anyway, the point about her, she was born in Kalisz. She had a brother who lived, Beryl, who lived in Breslau, German Poland it was then. She went to stay with him. And then she went on to Breslau University and was the first woman to be educated there. This is what I'm told. She could read and write Latin and Greek, as well as most European languages. Now, I knew my grandmother. I mean, she died fairly young herself, but I know she used to take me round to the various schools to get me in after I'd won the scholarship, as it's called. And I wouldn't have said she was all that well educated, but her children, and I have an aunt and uncle still living now, and they said she was. Their family doctor, used to come round to her house, next door us, and discuss sort of high ethical and all sorts of matters with her. So I'm very surprised, and considering the children she had, I can't say that she passed on any knowledge to them at all. Anyway, I thought that was very interesting. They insist that was so, that she was very, very educated.
She died. Did she die young then?
She died young, also in her 50s.
In her 50s. Do you know what she died from?
No, I can't recall what she know. Oh, no. She'd finished. She's had all her children.
And how many children? How many brothers and sisters your father had?
My father had Leah. Then my father was born next. Jack, Aaron, Fanny, Abe, Herman, and Nancy. There's 7 of them. See, she had 7 children, and
they all lived in the Mile End Road.
Yes, in the Mile End Road. But the Aaron, the 3rd child, it was off the Mile End Road, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes. The 3rd became an officer in the First World War, and after the war, he emigrated with his non-Jewish wife, very beautiful woman, Florrie, my auntie Florrie, and they emigrated to Canada. And they had lots and lots of children there, I understand. And it's not very long ago that he died, and then more recently that she died. This is what I've heard.
Dorothy, do you remember your grandparents' home, whether they kept any religious ritual? Did they
Yes.
did they keep religious observance?
Yes, they did. They did indeed, Orthodox.
Did they light candles on Shabbat?
Always lit candles. So did my parents.
Yes, we'll
always,
come to those
yes,
go through.
yes. They always lit candles, and they had the Pesach was always strictly kept, and so was Purim and Shavuos and Hanukkah, all the ceremonies.
Did your grandfather then attend to shul every
I can't remember my grandfather. He died before I was born. I was born in 1912. He died in 1930. No, the year after. So I was only a year old.
He was also a young man. You don't know what he died from?
No. I just think lead poisoning. If it was a gas fitter and plumber and whatever it is. I really don't know.
And then we go over to your mother's side now, your mother's parents.
Yes, well, I
don't know
them.
Can you tell us anything at all about them?
No, well, obviously they were Polish.
Did they come to England?
Not the parents, as far as I know. No, in the pogroms, the children came, the brothers and sisters, but most of them went back to Poland. I think one went on to America, but most of them went back to Poland. One brother stayed here. My uncle Louis is called, Ludwig.
Your mother's brother.
My mother's brother. And the others, they all became doctors and judges in Kalisz or Lotz, Kalisz it was then, and I think they all perished in the Auschwitz, in the Treblinka or Auschwitz.
Well, I was going to ask you whether you allowed any persecution or any stories
that was
about,
it, yes. This is what I hear from another.
This is your mother's family?
My mother's family.
They perished?
Yes.
I see. Do you know what they did for business, any of these people?
Well, I know all those of my generation, it would be the children of those.
Yes.
They, as I say, they were doctors. Oh, one of them has gone to, is living in Israel now. He's a doctor there. Yes, that's quite right.
This is your mother's brother,
my mother's
younger brother?
No, not brother. Nephew. Niece. The brothers, I don't know what happened to.
Yes.
I know there was one who lived, is it North Poland or even Lithuania? We used to call him Uncle Strutnybit. I never met him because he was very small, very short, and he was called Uncle Strutnybit. I remember a photograph of him, but I don't remember ever meeting him at all. Only the Uncle Ludwig, who was here, had quite a lot to do with.
So there was they did suffer from persecution.
Yeah, oh yes, definitely.
And then they went back, and unfortunately, because of going back, they
Yes,
perished.
that's it. Yes.
Do you know anything at all about what sort of education they had in Poland?
Well, to become doctors, they must have had a higher education.
Yes,
at least
university.
They must have been at university. Oh yes, those. But my mother and her brothers and sisters, she had two sisters as well. I think it was a very ordinary education. I'm sure my mother didn't finish any education, did she? I think she came over here when she was about 12 or 13. She must have done.
She sewed in the same shop as where your father was.
I don't know whether she became a filling hand in that shop or whatever it was, or buttonhole hand and something like that.
Did she ever talk to you about the place that she worked? Was it a home or was it a factory where there were sweatshops?
They were all sweatshops, weren't they?
Well, some of them were different. I just wondered whether she had told you.
Well, I think it must have been a sweatshop. It wasn't what I would call a good class place. I don't think so anyway.
She never spoke about
No, and I never knew her going out to work anyway. Oh no, she was at home. Well, 5 children.
Yes.
And she didn't go out to work when I knew.
So Dorothy, you were born in Mineland, were you?
In Mineland Hospital. Yes, I think it was. No, at home. We were all born at home, in Eric Street, in my grandma's house next door.
I see. Fine. And can I ask you if you have any sort of childhood memories of the area, or the type of house you lived in, whether you had a bathroom?
No bathroom, no. Very, very, very primitive. Sorry, Dorothy. Yeah, the area. They were dreadful.
Was it, how many rooms downstairs?
Well, there were 2 upstairs, 2 on the ground level, and 2 basement rooms. And sort of we all lived there. No bathroom, no hot water. You have to heat everything. You have baths in tin baths,
Did you go to the local baths?
Yes, you have to go to the local baths. Yes, what else did you do? And That's right, and there were 5 children in the family. We all won scholarships, and so that was 5 half days that the schools had, 5 half-day holidays, because they gave us a half day for
Which
everyone.
school was it you went to?
Ben Jonson. It was a long way from us, but we used to walk there and back.
And did you find at Ben Jonson there was any anti-Semitism at all?
None at all. I think they were nearly half Jewish. Nearly half the school was Jewish, I think.
But
And we used to have take the Jewish holidays off. There was never any question of that at all. No anti-Semitism whatsoever.
And in your neighbourhood? I know you were in a mostly Jewish.
No, it wasn't Jewish there at all. Not in that part of Bow. Not at all. It was. There were quite a number of Jewish people there, but there were also ever such a lot of non-Jewish people, all our neighbours. But as far as I can recall, we all got on very well indeed. I didn't experience any anti-Semitism at all.
You won a scholarship, and then you went. And what age did you leave school?
17. I stayed on.
At Ben Jonson?
No. I won a scholarship, and I went to Rains Foundation.
Rains, I see.
And that was even further away. And we walked backwards and forth, yes, in Harbour Square. Oh yes, no money to ride. No, we had to walk. So I went there, and I matriculated at 15. That was considered very young in those days. And also, because I was always underage, because you have to be by the end of July or something, I never got any grants, you see, so it had to have a special something to get it from somewhere else, the headmistress did, so that I could get a little bit of a grant.
And what did you train for?
Well, I should have gone on to university, but of course I had to go out to work. So I went into the commercial 6th, and I did, we did shorthand typewriting, bookkeeping. All these at advanced levels I passed, 140, and advanced bookkeeping, and etc. But my languages were very good indeed. And one of the mistresses, the gym mistress, said she'd get me a job with German shorthand or something like that, because I was teaching that to myself with somebody that she knew. But it so happened on the first day I went to I think it was a Headmistresses Association. I got a job the first day, and I remember that at the next prize day, which we were, this was a special announcement that Dorothy had got a job the first day, and apparently at £2 a week, which was more than anybody else was getting in those days. Much more than anybody else was getting.
What did you have? Where did you work? Was it very far?
Finsbury Park.
Finsbury Park.
Yes.
In commercial.
Yes, I used German shorthand, but the funny thing was, German shorthand, English shorthand, all the rest of it, and it was a Swiss fellow, so it was small and not sly, you know, and he dictated for about 2 hours one day, and I took it back into the room to type it back, couldn't read a word of it. Not a word. Not a word of it. No. So I don't know what happened about that, but yeah, I went into him and we had a nice long chat, and it couldn't have been very important because he didn't seem to make a fuss about it.
You stayed there with how long?
Not long there, because I realised that I wasn't improving at all, and I changed. I mean, I got a better job at £1 a week more. That was in Hatton Garden, and there I think I did German and French. I'm not sure. I made a lot of changes. I kept wanting to improve, to get better. So I went about. I know I was 2 or 3 years at Courtaulds, which was very pleasant. Very pleasant. Then I went to a very unpleasant one. I can't remember the name was in Regent's.
There was no
Park.
problem about being Jewish at Courtaulds?
No, none at all. But I will tell you something about anti-Semitism. I never met it throughout the whole of my life, I must admit. But a number of my friends did come up against it. And there used to be an agency called the Swiss Mercantile Agency, Employment Agency. And I recommended some friends there. And they looked very Jewish, and they were taken on the books and never got a job. But I heard also other people who applied for the same job who weren't Jewish, and they got it, and they weren't nearly as clever or as good at the job as this. So I know there was quite a good bit of anti-Semitism, but I never came up against any of it.
Dorothy, you say that you did keep Shabbat, and you were Orthodox when you were
Yes,
at home.
yes.
You were living at home during this period?
All the time. I only left when I got married.
And did your brothers get bar mitzvah?
Yes. Oh, yes, all three of them.
Which synagogue would that have been? Do you recall?
Well, it must have been Maidment Street Shul, the same one. off the Badette Road.
Yes, yes. And how did you celebrate the bar mitzvah?
Oh, there was hardly any celebration. I don't know. I suppose they came home, there were cakes and some wine or something like that. I can't remember
Yes,
it.
right. Just wondered if there was anything that any memories.
No, I haven't got any memories of
Tell
that.
me, when did you meet your husband? Where?
Well, I used to go to holiday camps, Woodlands holiday camp near Seven Oaks, and I met him there.
Did you go to any Jewish girls' clubs or clubs in the area?
Unfortunately, I didn't, and I should have done. I didn't know about it. You see, we weren't in a Jewish neighbourhood. Where I lived, it wasn't Jewish, and so you didn't get any of the connections. And I should have done. I should have gone. And I'm quite sure my life would be very, very much different had I done so. Because there was a Stepney Green one, that was the nearest one, you see, although that was quite a walk. But yes, I should have done, but we didn't.
Do you remember the trams going by? Do you remember anything that happened? Can you talk about any memories you have of the area and the things that went on?
Well, I don't know. It's just, to me, it was just, just ordinary. There were various dance halls around that one went to, La Boheme and Cottage Grove. And I used to go there.
Did your parents go to the Jewish theatre?
I can't remember them going. I went once or twice, I know, somewhere in Aldgate, but I can't remember them going. My dad used to sing, and we all sing actually, and he used to perform occasionally. No, you have to rely on the ear. And if there was, I don't know, I remember him going around the corner and singing some. He used to sing in the choir, I believe, the short. No, there wasn't a choir then, but he used to sing anyway, whatever it is. And he did used to, at a drop of a hat, if you asked him to sing, he would sing. Yes, I remember that. No, the trams, yes, there were trams there.
And so you met your husband?
Yes. At one of these holiday camps I used to go to. Actually, it was mostly Jewish people that used to go there to this particular holiday camp at Woodlands.
And what age were you then when you got engaged?
Well, I was married at 24.
And he did what? What did he do?
I really don't know. I think he was a hairdresser. This is a bit, but really he was a tailor. But I didn't know this because my father was a tailor and he was out of work 9 months of every year. So I swore I would never marry a tailor. Well, of course, Morris wasn't a tailor, you see. He was, I didn't find this out until he tried we got out, we married, and he had his own hairdressing shop.
In the East End?
No, in Greenford.
In Greenford? Oh, I see.
Right
you moved to Greenford when you got married,
That's
did you?
right,
Why
yes.
did you move to Greenford?
Well, we were looking for a business.
Just that's the only reason?
That's the only
I see.
reason.
And what made you choose Greenford?
Well, he chose it really. He used to look in property on shops and businesses for sale, you see. And we passed this, I think we were looking for a sweet shop. That was the thing, wasn't it? Everybody went in for sweet shops because that was just general. And there was this shop next door, and he went in and asked if they would sell, and they did, and it was a flop anyway.
But how did you, may I ask you, how you got the finance to start a business in New York?
Oh, I had to guarantee it from my bank.
Yes, that
And it was a very low amount that you had to guarantee, but then I had to mortgage my salary for a year.
Where did you get married?
Stepney Green. Sure, yes, that's right, yes.
And so you then moved to Greenford?
Yes.
And then did you belong to the synagogue in Greenford?
No.
Neither?
No.
And what about when you had children?
I don't think we ever belonged to the synagogue until we joined the Liberal synagogue.
I see. I wondered how you came from the Orthodox background to liberalism.
That is very sad, very simple. I had 3 children. My eldest son had been in very, very poor health from the age of 18 months. It was the evacuation, and he got cold, and he developed asthma, and very, very bad, etc. And he died when he was 14. And I did not want him buried. I wanted him cremated. And then, of course, I came up against, you can't be cremated in the Orthodox. So somebody suggested I get in touch with St. John's Wood, and which I did. And they cremated him.
That was the reason then that you...
The only reason. And we stayed, and then the other 2 children used to go to St. John's Wood for Hebrew lessons. And
was that a son?
My twins.
Twins.
Yes, son and daughter.
And then did you have your son bar mitzvah?
Yes, at Older at Wembley.
I see. Yes.
He went to Preston Road. Yes, and he was bar mitzvah there. But my oldest son was bar mitzvah in Vaughan Road Shul, because my father took him to Vaughan Road School. He was very ill at that time, but anyway, he hadn't been to any Hebrew lessons, but my dad taught him to read all the things that were necessary, and he learned very quickly.
Do you think in modern day times he would have been saved?
I don't think so. I think his whole body disintegrated. In the end, he died of cancer. Oh, and then he had diabetes. I think the whole body was disintegrating, and that may have come from the fact that when he was circumcised in the hospital, Violent Hospital, very badly done, and he bled for 3 days, and nobody did anything. They just said to me, feed, feed, and he was going waxen, and I think that, I really think, a proper one, Jewish, yes, a Jewish born king, yes.
And so he had been bar mitzvah. Did you then at home keep any?
No, I didn't.
Orthodoxy?
No, I didn't. I was so busy going to work.
Trying to get an account.
Yes, I had to work full time because the business wasn't paying. In any case, when the Second World War broke out, I've got the one baby then. That was Anthony, the one who died, and we disposed of the business, and that was that.
Did you during that time belong to any voluntary organisation or political?
No, none at all.
Or social?
No, none at all. Completely isolated.
You didn't meet any Jewish
No,
friends? Or?
no.
I see.
Well, we had Jewish friends from when we were married. They lived the other side of London.
I see. So what did you do for socially?
Nothing. Not at that time. Not when we had very young children. I didn't at all.
So is there any experience later on of particular interest of you that you feel would be worth relating?
What have I got down here?
Well,
you see, yes.
The
Yes.
Second World War on how many families.
Well, we were evacuated twice. Once we went to Bath. This is when I only had the first child. And then when the Doodlebugs came, we were living in Pinner, just off Rayner's Lane. And my twins were born when I was there at Hampton Court.
And where was he then?
My husband was in the fire service, in reserves, yes, in
where was
reserve.
your twin son circumcised? In hospital?
Just a minute. I'm trying to think whether he was circumcised in hospital. Yes, he was at Hampton Court Hospital. Oh no, he couldn't have been because he was too small. The girl was £2 something, and the boy was £3 something. So no, he wasn't. He was circumcised at home. That's quite right. Yes.
And did you got the Orthodox? So you must have been.
Oh yes, yes.
You belonged to a synagogue.
I don't remember belonging to a synagogue, to be quite honest. But anyway, we did get somebody.
What about the Yom Tov, the Pesach? Did you keep?
I kept Pesach, but I don't think anything else.
No, and Yom Kippur?
Oh, always Yom Kippur. Yes.
Did you go to shul on Yom Kippur? Or did you just fasted?
Yes.
And taught the children?
I don't know about taught the children. I mean, this is the day we fast, etc. And that's all. I didn't have any religious. I wasn't religious at all.
Any of your brothers and sisters were?
Well, they weren't either. My sister actually married in church. Not only did she not marry within the fold, but she actually married in Dunkerton Church. And this was.
Did it have any effect on your mother?
No, I think Mum was very glad that she'd found somebody she loved.
So neither your husband or yourself got into any political, cultural, or social activity?
Not at all.
Or there wasn't very much religious affiliation in those days. But then your second son, your twin son, was also bar mitzvah.
Yes.
And was your daughter bar mitzvah?
No, she didn't want to go anymore. If she found anything too hard, she opted out.
And where do they live now?
My daughter lives in Radlett, and I have 3 grandchildren.
And is she a liberal Jew?
No, she married an Orthodox.
She married an Orthodox?
Yes, and they're Orthodox, definitely Orthodox. They belong to, I can't think, Bushy or Radlett. Bushy Shore, yes.
I see. And do they keep?
They keep, yes.
Kosher, don't
Half kosher.
they? Yes, they like candles in the house.
Oh yes, but I mean, Philip, my son-in-law, he insists on kosher food, so she makes him kosher food, but she doesn't have necessarily kosher food for herself and the children.
And are you pleased about that?
Yes, it's as long as they're happy, and they're leading moral lives, good lives, what I call helping other people, etc. Yes, I'm quite happy.
And then your husband died, did he?
No, he didn't. I divorced him.
Oh, I see, you were divorced. I see. And how did you cope to live on your own?
Very hard, because you see, as you've just said, we hadn't made any social life or anything like that because he was a very difficult man, and you couldn't really invite anybody because he just as well, it's still going round, he might just as well have ordered them out or something. He was a very difficult man, so I was entirely on my own when I divorced him. It was a very, very difficult time. 48, I think I was. And no, the point is, I should have done it very, very much earlier, and in fact, 2 weeks before I married, I knew I shouldn't have married him. But I'm a weak soul. I am weak in many, many ways. However, I thought, no, I'll wait till the children are out of school, and I can support them. And I had to wait till I was earning enough. All the time.
That you were in the business.
No, I didn't work in the business.
What, you worked outside?
Yes, I employed a nanny for a time, and I had to manage myself. So, and then I went to teacher training college, and the children were 6, I think. The twins were 6 anyway. I went to teacher training college, and I became a teacher from them.
In what sort of school is this?
Oh, I've taught everywhere. I've taught infants, juniors, secondary modern girls, secondary modern boys. All in this area, yes. Secondary modern boys, secondary modern girls, grammar school. And yes, and then I finished up 13 years at Ealing Technical College as a lecturer.
In what particular?
On the commercial side, although I trained for infant juniors, because I thought to have the same sort of qualities as the children, which worked out all right, but really I am a more adult teacher than little ones of that age, although they were very good.
Thank you very much,
So that's as far as I've got. I got my grandchildren. Astoria was 13 a fortnight ago, and Timmy is 11, nearly 12, and he'll be mitzvah the year after. And my little Katie was just 8, and I started to teach her bridge. And she's got onto the one-note trump and the responses.
This is 8, yes.
Yeah, she's 8. She's my little Katie, yes.
And since you belong to this particular synagogue, would you like to say anything about how you feel about...
Well, it's made a wonderful difference to my life. I have found, when I come to the synagogue, I haven't been for a long time. I haven't been a regular, but I used to come every Friday and every Saturday until I became a counsellor, a local counsellor. And when I didn't know how long I was going to, we used to go on to the early hours of the morning. So I wasn't able to come so, and I haven't been so much after that, because my son, who lives, got his own flat in Stanmore, he's not married, he comes to me for Friday night dinner. And I think that's more important to have him than... He used to come to the synagogue, but he doesn't want to go anymore. Although he's very, very Jewish in his outlook and everything. But
he's not a member of the synagogue?
He's not a member of any synagogue, actually. But he comes to the Yom Kippur things here. Yes, he comes here.
But you like the liberal Judaism?
Yes, I do. Very, very much indeed. I think it's something that you can be a part of. You feel you belong. And the peace and quiet that you get from coming here, I think it's wonderful. It really is,
But when your grandparents died, were there any artifacts, any photographs, any genealogies or documents?
There might have been, but I don't know where they are. They might have been. You keep gathering and gathering things. I can't think. I do know that when the Second War broke out, we may have had a lot of things, but we left everything. And then we sort of came, descend. So that a lot of things were lost.
Did your daughter marry in Shaw, did you say?
No, my daughter, yes. Oh, yes. The one opposite Henry's Corner.
Oh,
That one, yes, Orthodox, a very nice one. Oh, yes, it's all the trimmings there. She married into an Orthodox family.
And now, Dorothy, you have, I know for a fact, of course we all know that you are an expert bridge teacher. Do you have any other interests at home? Any other cultural interests?
Yes, well, Yes, well, the graphology. I was very interested in graphology. I have taken a course at London University, and I'm supposed to be going away for another weekend. This is reading character and everything else from handwriting, and it is amazing what you can learn. Very interested in that, but it's a question, you have to go such a long way to do anything about it. But I'm more or less booked into it for a course at the beginning of December, and another one in May. Interested in listening to music, and of course we all sing, because my daughter has got the lead in Count of Luxembourg, which is on next weekend. We're all going, and she's also a lovely, fine comedian, but she's having her voice trained. She goes every week to this Italian chappie, the other side of London. My son also goes and has his voice trained, but he's got a marvellous voice, marvellous baritone, but he hasn't got my daughter's personality, so he's not, he used to be in the Brent Opera, with the Brent Opera thing, but now I don't know, he's with one small place and he still has his voice trained every week, you know, go on and on and on. And I used to sing as well.
And you got that from your father?
I think I must have done, yes.
You said your father sang.
My father sang.
Do you know about his family singing at all?
None at all. As far as I know, none of them have got voices. It's only Dad, and then it's come down. And we all, my husband sang. He did sing in the Jewish choir in the Berkeley Street, is it? Do they have that's where he sang.
Did his family come from that area?
No, they were all East End as well. They were all East, but they were the Lidbucks.
Do you know what their family did? His father, for instance?
He's always out of work. I don't know, dear. I really don't know. It might have been, but I'm not sure.
How did you cope when you were
Well, I worked, didn't I? It wasn't my husband that was out of work. So he was my father was. Well, my mother had a coat, so you had both bones and you made soup, didn't you?
Well, this is one of the things that I wanted to know about.
Oh, yes.
What you remember having to do.
And I remember, no shoes or something like that. Oh, yes, we were extremely poor, dear. I remember once going to school, it was at a grammar school, and I had no shoes. My grandma lent me her shoes, and they were too big, and I stitched the back up. But we really were very, very poor indeed.
How did they cope when your father never had money? Where did the money come from to feed you?
I don't know, because there were no handouts then, were there?
No. Well, the Jewish Welfare Board perhaps.
Well, I don't think they went there or something, or if they did, they would come and then examine every little bit to see, can't you sell this or can't you, well, nothing to sell. So I don't know. I know that the women were marvellous. They just managed. You know, you had potatoes and potato soup. But then there were times when he was in work. Round place at the time was always very good, because he always had work around then. So you managed, didn't you? And the wonderful thing was, as poor as they were, they insisted I stayed on at school. We all went to grammar school. We all stayed on at least till 16. My brother stayed on till 19.
What did he do?
Well, that was the time when it was the slump, and there was no work. He was an artist, and there was no work, so he just went back to school and used to get a grant and stay at school, so he wasn't sort of roaming the streets. He eventually went into an arm factory or something like that, and then the bullion people or something in the office. He didn't do much with his art. I got a nice oil painting at home of me. I had a number of people wanted to paint me. I can't remember why or when, but about that time, before I was married.
Do you keep in touch with any of your brothers and sisters?
Oh, yes.
Near you?
A brother lives near.
None of them have joined the
Oh, no.
Liberals?
No. Brother lives near. He doesn't belong to any of them. I think he's agnostic now. And another brother has moved over to the Isle of Man 3 weeks ago. My sister lives in Luton.
Well, thank you very much, Dorothy, for spending your time.
Right, this is not all going to go in a bit of thingamajig, is it? You're not going to write all this down.
No, dear.
You've sorted all that out.
Yes.